From the beginning, can you just tell me a little bit about, your upbringing, family,
Sure.
etc., whatever way you want to do that?
Yeah, I was born in Iran. My father, mother, and younger sister and I left Iran in 1979 after the Iranian Revolution. We got out really right before the country kind of shut down, so before the hostage crisis. We originally moved to Oklahoma. My father had been there before on a kind of a study abroad program, and so I think he just assumed that Oklahoma was America, and so we ended up in Oklahoma. Turns out he was right. Oklahoma is America, but it didn't take long for us to realize that there's more, to the country than just the center of it. So we moved to the Bay Area, and I grew up mostly in San Jose, California. That's where I went to high school. I did my undergraduate work at Santa Clara University, and most of my family is still in the South Bay. Well, I think I first became interested in religion because of my childhood experiences of revolutionary Iran. I think leaving that country and experiencing the power that religion has to transform a society for good and for bad never really left me. And so I always grew up deeply fascinated by religion, by faith, by religious history and religious phenomenology, despite the fact that I did not come from a religious family at all. My father is actually quite anti-religious, and my mother was sort of culturally religious, like most people are. Um, but what I always wanted to do, and I don't ever remember wanting to do anything else, was to be a writer. That was always the plan. Now, when you're the son of immigrants, I think, you have a different kind of upbringing. So I could never really tell my parents that I was going to go become a writer. They wouldn't even understand what that means. I really didn't even understand what it meant. And so I knew that I had to get a job while I was writing. And so I decided that I was going to become an academic and study religion. I also took the time to go and get an advanced degree in creative writing. I have an MFA in fiction from the Iowa Writers Workshop. And so, the plan was to kind of do both parallel to each other, to be a scholar and teach and also to write. But I just kind of got lucky in that both those worlds blended together. And it makes sense. I mean, religion is really all about storytelling, and that's what good writers do, is tell stories. And so I've been able to combine these two expertise into a single career. I used to teach religion. In fact, I've taught religion at two different universities, and I kind of hate it. And when the opportunity arose in 2007 to come here and teach creative writing instead, I took it hesitantly. I mean, the only creative writing that I had done, teaching that I had done, was at Iowa, and all the MFA students have to teach creative writing to undergrads. And, it was terrible. The stories were awful, and I didn't really want to do it. But I thought I would give it a shot, and I didn't know that I would fall in love with it. And I really, really enjoy teaching here. I really enjoy teaching creative writing. Weirdly, I get some flack from, religion scholars, because they think that despite the fact that I have all these advanced degrees in the study of religion, because I don't teach religion, therefore that somehow, disqualifies me or delegitimizes me. I think it's hard for some people to realize that, you can do more than one thing well, and that I teach creative writing because I like it. I mean, I don't need to be here. I could make a pretty good living without teaching. I teach because I want to. Well, I always say that you shouldn't have a job, you should have a mission. And I think for me, my mission has always been to use stories to connect people. And whether that's connect people with different religions or different political views or different nationalities or ethnicities, I truly do believe in the power of storytelling to reframe perceptions, to change people's minds, to create new identities. And, what I want to do is just continue to create those kinds of stories, and whether they're for TV or for film, or whether they're, books, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, it really doesn't matter to me. I think for me, it's not about the genre, and it's not about the platform. It's about the story itself. And so that's really where I'm focused these next couple of years. I really do want to focus more on pop culture, on television, on film. I mean, I think that those things have a lot more power than books do, for better or worse. I feel like I could write, 100 books, but one really popular TV show can have a far greater effect because it reaches so many more people than books do. So I think that, as I look to the near future, I think the path that I'm on right now in trying to tap into the power of stories is one that I want to stay on for quite some time.
So now CNN has you doing a show now called
Believer.
Believer. Sorry. Can you tell me a little bit about how this came to be?
Yeah, I've been working on this show for a while. I've been pitching it and developing it for a while. I have a a development company called BoomGen Studios, and we do film and television productions that have to do with this larger region of the world that we call Manasseh, Middle East, North Africa, South Asia. And this idea I'd been pitching around for a while, and as I was pitching it, I found out from my agents that there was a production company, very successful large production company that used to be called Berman Braun, but is now called Wellrock, that was pitching a similar show. And so we kind of came together and and began pitching it. There were a number of networks who were interested in it, but we only ever wanted to go to CNN. We just figured CNN was the right place for it. Basically, the show, if you can imagine, if you're familiar with Anthony Bourdain, it's sort of Anthony Bourdain's show, but religion instead of food. So I go around the world and I take part in religious ceremonies and activities, rituals, as a window into understanding, these different cultures. In the same way that Anthony Bourdain's show is not about food, he just uses food as a way to explore other worlds and other viewpoints. This is not really a show about religion. It just uses religion as a way of opening up these other doors, these other worlds that I think that are very foreign and exotic to a lot of people. It's just a different platform. I don't see this any differently than the work that I've always been doing. It's just a different platform for it, and so it hopefully will reach a larger audience. An audience that would normally not read the kinds of books that I write, or who wouldn't normally watch CNN or Fox or MSNBC or really any kind of news, but will be tuned to a entertaining experiential show about a guy who is trying to kind of understand the way that other people think, the way that they feel, their spiritual lives by experiencing what they experience. And I think that is something that a lot of people, I think, would get turned on to. And everybody who's heard about this show has had a very enthusiastic response to it. We'll probably start the shoot around September and finish it sometime around December. The first season is just 6 episodes, but 6 hours is pretty long, and what we're trying to do is much more cinematic, much more dramatic, and I think it's definitely unlike anything that CNN has right now. It's not going to be this sort of... Let me put it this way. It's not reality TV. It's more like a 6-part documentary than anything else.